How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. So in this video, this is going to be a bit longer of a video. I'm just going to go let you know that right now. And the reason why is because there's a lot of information that I would like to be able to pass on in this video for anyone who is interested in learning how to do investing for double experience weekend the very first time. And then also people who have maybe done it before but wanted to know ways of doing it a little bit better this time around. So I'm going to try to put as much information as I possibly can in the end of this video. And I would normally try to break up something like this into multiple videos, but the reason why I'm not going to do that is because you'll kind of lose context a little bit if I was to break it up in multiple videos. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in one video. So just want to let you know right away, it's going to be a little bit longer video. So the first thing I want to talk about here is when is double experience weekend. For double experience weekend, the next one coming up should be sometime around September. It'll be right around October or September. That is typically the 2 months that they use for a double experience weekend in the fall. If you look on the wiki and type in double experience weekend, you can actually see when double experience weekend usually is. It's always right around a certain couple months time frame though, and there's one in the spring, one in the fall. So we have a pretty solid idea that's going to be happening right about September this time around. Now, obviously, it could be in a different one. They could switch it up or whatever, but we just have to kind of plan this one out. There's not really any way of knowing the exact date of double experience weekend, but that's also not really relevant when it comes to investing for double experience weekend. I'll explain a little bit more about that as well. People get really a little too obsessed with the exact date and the exact numbers and everything, and making a lot of money on double experience weekend is not really about exacts. It's more about speculation and just using what knowledge we have. So the first thing I want to talk about is that a lot of items that people are going to invest into are items that will be at their highest price upon the announcement of double experience weekend. So that is something that you should really know going into it, is that a lot of the items that you could invest into are going to be stuff that will reach the maximum price when it is announced. So if you try to wait until it's already announced, then you're kind of too late. So if you want to invest in double experience weekend, you have to start investing way ahead of time. Right now is actually a really good time to start investing for double experience weekend, hence the reason why I'm making this video. And we'll go ahead and go into some items in this video that are going to be helpful for you guys to invest into, and the strategies and how to pick out good items. So I will show you some examples of items in this video, but mostly I'm going to be showing you guys how to choose your own items, because truly there are a lot of different items you can choose from in RuneScape, and depending on your overall bank wealth or your just progress in RuneScape is going to kind of determine which items are going to be the best ones for you to invest into. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all take you over to the wiki page, because I want to show you an example of how to choose a good item to invest into, and also how to know if your item is something that's going to be very profitable or not very profitable. So before we look into this, the number one thing you have to consider is how much you are going to invest into double experience weekend. Now, investing in double experience weekend for the most part is fairly safe, actually. As long as you pick a smart item that has a history of rising during double experience weekend, then the chances of you losing money for double experience weekend is actually pretty slim. Honestly, it's kind of like getting hit by lightning if you lose money during double experience weekend. And usually if you lose money for double experience weekend, it's because of the fact that you invested at the wrong time. So if you were to invest at a time like now, kind of like as I was mentioning, and not wait until it's already announced, then you can avoid that problem. What is a big problem that people will make is the double experience weekend will be announced, and then people will have that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and then that will lead into losing money, because they will invest after the items are already inflated and after people have already bought them up and stocked them up, and then you just end up eating all that money when people dump them on double experience weekend. So when it comes to determining what items you should be looking into, there's not really a super difficult science about it. Basically, all you need to be considering is if you have a lower amount of bank, a lower amount of GP, I guess that's a better way of saying it. Something I would like to say, by the way, if you are a person that is a lower amount of GP, I would probably say would be something like 500 million gold or less. So for people that they might think you have a lot of GP, but when you really think about it, in terms of investing bulk amounts of supplies, anything under 500 million is going to be definitely in the lower GP range. I'm not saying anything bad about you or nothing like that. I'm just saying, just keep in mind that when you start trying to invest in thousands of something, or tens of thousands of something, or hundreds of thousands, or millions of something, then you realize, hey, I don't actually have that much GP to invest into. And so you kind of just have to plan it out accordingly. Now, if you are in that range of lower GP, and my personal opinion of lower GP, by the way, would be anything less than $1 billion gold. So if you have less than $1 billion gold, then what you should really be focusing on is investing into items that are going to give you a good ROI, a good return on your investment. So when you're looking through different items by using the strategy I'm about to show you, then you really want to decide what is going to give you the most profit when you turn around and sell it in comparison to how much you just paid for it. So let's go ahead and look at super ranging potions, because super ranging potions are actually one of the things that are pretty useful to buy up and invest in for double experience weekend. So let's go ahead and look at this chart right here. So when you go to the wiki, you type in an item, you type in the super ranging potions like we just said, you're going to look at the graph. So when you click the graph here and you go to the 6 month thing, you can look right here and you click the top, it says 1, 2, 3, 6, and then 1 year. So if you click on the 6 month thing, you can see kind of where they've spiked up at certain points. If you click on a year, you can see where they spiked up at certain points again. Now, if you do what I said before about typing in double experience weekend on the wiki, you can see when the double experience weekends were. I know there was one right here, right around August. And I also know there was another one that was kind of right here, right around February. And you can also just look at the graph itself and it just tells you that, obviously, where there's a big spike here, it goes back down, big spike here, it goes back down, and we get ready for another big spike over here. So what you can do is you can look and see how much they were at these times. So during the last double experience weekend, it looks like they reached about 16.6 thousand in the Grand Exchange. And then over here, it looks like they hit about 17.8 thousand in the Grand Exchange. So what I like to do when I am trying to speculate how much my item could rise is I like to go for the lower range of them. So if one says 17.8 and the other one says 16.6, I'm going to go with the 16.6 because I like to, worst case scenario type of things and just be surprised by the good side. We have 16.6 thousand each is how much Super Ranging 4 reached in the Grand Exchange at this time. Now, if you notice right here, this big dip down in the middle right here, there's also another one right over here. What that is right there is there was the announcement of Double Experience Weekend, the items went down a little bit, and the actual weekend where they went back up. So you can see right here, there's the announcement, they go back down, the actual weekend, they go back up. That is what happens with the items in RuneScape for the double experience weekends themselves. I'm gonna try not to log out here because that would just be, not great. So when you're looking at stuff like that, you can also use that to consider whether you should be selling an item at the announcement or selling the item during the weekend. If you look right here, you can see that 16.6 thousand, roughly almost 16.7 thousand at the announcement. During the weekend itself, about the same price. So you can see that Super Ranging 4, going by what we can see on this graph, it doesn't really seem to matter whether you sell it at the announcement or you sell it during the weekend itself. You can also look at the graph and find out something else here as well. If you look right here in the middle, you see 15.4 thousand. Remember how I said that it might be a mistake to buy stuff after double experience has already been announced? Well, if you see right here, 15.4 thousand gold in the middle. Let's look at previous. If you would have bought them at a good price, like in the months previous, even at the really top spikes and everything like that, it's still lower than how much they are right here. Like they're still significantly higher here than they are down here. That's what I'm talking about, is you want to be stocking them the stuff up now and not waiting until it is announced, because you can obviously see you make considerable less amount of money if you do that. If you stock 10,000 of these, you're paying 10 million gold more than in right here than you are back here, at least 10 million gold. So how do we figure how much we're going to make per each item? So right here, we've got 16.6 thousand. Like I said, we're going to use that as our example. If we go up here and we see that right now you can buy them for 12,711, you can see that you're going to make roughly 4,000 gold each, which means that you're going to make about 30% ROI. 30% of your investment is how much you're going to make as profit. And that is pretty much what you can do for any item that you are considering investing into, is you can literally just go on here, look at the graphs, and figure it out. If we type in Wine of Zamorak, which is also something that you use to make the Super Ranging potions, which people will also use these during the weekend. We look down here, look at the chart, click on that 1 year. We can see that these don't like jump up as much as the other stuff does actually. So we can see that we've got a February one, we've got 10,200 and something here. and then way back here they went up to like almost 12,000. Remember how I said that I like to use the worst case scenario type of situation where, you know, they were down here like 10,500 or whatever? You can choose how you want to do it. If you want to, if you think they're going to go way higher than that this time, and you think that you're going to use this number instead, feel free. I'm just saying what I like to do is I like to go worst case scenario because that has helped me out in the past. And I've been playing RuneScape since RuneScape was basically created, so it seems to have worked pretty well for myself. But you can do whatever you want to. What I would look at though is I'd see 10,500 was my worst case scenario last double experience weekend. You can also see, by the way, that it looks like this one was highest at the announcement. If you see at the actual weekend, it was lower. So this was higher during the announcement. So it looks like Wine of Zamorak is something we'd actually want to sell at announcement. It also looks like the exact same thing happened back here, where at the announcement it was higher. So that is something we wanted to sell at the announcement. Remember, with super ranging 4 potions, it didn't really matter, but with Wine of Zamorak, apparently it does matter. So how much will we earn on Wine of Zamorak? 10,500 each is how much they went last time, and you can buy them at 9,000 a piece right now. You're looking at 1,500 each. Now that is considerably less than 30%. So now you have an example of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about looking at ones that give you the biggest ROI. So obviously, Wine of Zamorak is a pretty expensive item to buy for starters. The super ranging potions and the Wine of Zamorak are actually both pretty expensive items to stock up. That's also something else you're going to want to consider when you're thinking about how much money you have and how much you would like to invest into items. Is you may not want to invest in items that are super expensive because yeah, they might have a good return on investment, but you also have to put a lot of money into them, which will leave you less money to be able to buy other items. And diversifying your investments, which means buying multiple types of items, is also going to be able to improve your chances of making a lot of money. Because let's say that one item just suddenly crashes next time and we don't know why. Well, if you put all of your money into that, then you're kind of screwed. But if you have like 20 or 30 different things you invest into, then you're still good. You can still make your money back on other stuff. So consider the actual price of the item when trying to consider how much you're going to buy of it, and also whether it's good enough for you to buy, and also looking at the ROI. We saw that the Wine of Zamorak was not really the best ROI. It actually had probably about a 10% ROI, and in comparison to the super ranging potion being 30%. So obviously I would buy super ranging potion all day long before I bought Wine of Zamorak. Okay, so a little bit of a disclosure before I roll into these items is that I do have considerable more amount of most of these items here, and these are also not all the items I've invested into. So I'm not really suggesting that you invest into these specific items. I'm just going to tell you why these are some things to consider for Double Experience Weekend, and yeah, that's really about it. So anyway, going into this, let's look at these items and let's try to figure out why they are good to invest into. So uncut rubies, uncut dragon stones, these are really good examples of things to buy into. Basically any kind of uncut gem, you know, the realistic ones. Don't buy onyxes, don't buy hydrix, because that doesn't make any sense. But buy the ones that people actually use for crafting, because people will use them for crafting during the weekend. Also, dragon stones especially have a very small buy limit. So if an item in RuneScape has a lower buy limit, then there's a really good chance that people on the forums are actually going to be buying these, because it's very hard for them to stock up themselves. So when Double Experience Weekend is announced, they're going to be paying a lot more over the grand exchange price in order to get their product. Something that I like to use as kind of like a way to judge how much to sell something on the forums, by the way, of 2 different ways. Number one is, what are other people selling it for? Because, you know, that seems like an obvious one. If people are selling it for X price, then you should probably compete with those prices in order to get the sales. The next thing is I will use my instant buy price in the grand exchange in order to value them. Now, that doesn't mean I'm selling them for that price, but if someone is trying to haggle with me and they're trying to offer me X amount on my dragon stones, and I'm like, well, I can instantly buy one right now for this price, then I'm not going to sell them for lower than that. Some people on the forums will try to pay you equal to the instant buy price, which doesn't really make any sense. And some of them will also try to pay you equal to like the mid price or whatever. Just beware that there's lots of people out there trying to get stuff as cheap as they possibly can. And the best way to do it, really honestly, is try to figure out how much other people are selling them for. Next thing here is going to be magic seeds, or tree seeds in general. Tree seeds are things that go up quite a bit during Double Experience Weekend, and actually most Double Experience Weekend they continue going up past the weekend because people have used them all up. So that's another one, a good one to consider. They're also really good because they only have a 100 buy limit, which also means that you stocking them up is going to be very difficult. So keep that in mind. Pretty much any kind of dwarf, or sorry, not dwarf, but any kind of clean herb or grimy herb both go up a lot for Double Experience Weekend, as well as unfinished potions. As you can see, I've got some dwarf wheat unfinished potions right right here. They go up quite a bit too. I got Wine Exam Rack myself. I stocked up. This is literally actually all of them that I have. I have about 300,000 of them. I haven't stocked any more of those because, kind of like I showed you in the example, they don't have the best return on investment. I just kind of want to diversify. I am working with several billion. So when it comes to me buying up stuff, just because it has a 10% ROI, I might still buy some just because I'm trying to buy different items. I don't want to stock like, 20 trillion mahogany planks and then have all my stuff in mahogany planks. I try to split it up. So that, anyway, I have them right here. But it's a really good example to show you because the fact that if you do this kind of trick, this also makes more money. So let's see, you are considering buying into Dwarf Weed Potion Unfinished and also Wine of Zamorak. These are both things that will go up during Double Experience Weekend. But if you combine these two, you're able to make the Super Ranging Potion. Chances are the person that is offering to buy an item from you, if they're looking to buy Dwarf Weeds, are probably also looking to buy Wine of Zamorak. So when you have a combined thing here called a set, then you can make a lot more money by selling them as a set. You can basically tack on some extra GP because you have both pieces. This is really, really popular with broad arrows. You will see people buying and selling broad sets on the forums. What that means is they are buying a broad arrowhead plus a headless arrow. As you can see, I have headless arrows in here, and I've also got dragon arrowheads. I choose to do dragon arrowheads just because of the fact that no one really thinks about them. And since people don't think about dragon arrowheads, hint, hint, they are kind of my secret item. Since people don't really think about dragon arrowheads and they think more about broads, then I end up getting a very premium price for my dragon arrowhead sets. Also, teak planks, mahogany planks are very good to buy into, especially because they tend to go very low now because of the fact that people are making them with invention machines. Okay, now this next row is an example of stuff that I want to show you that people don't really think about and also are a bit strange. And I will explain each one here and why. So, Pack Yak pouches. Now, oh sorry, this actually should be up here too. Actually, pretty much all these should be in the same category, come to think of it. There really is only two categories. So this right here is stuff that people don't really think about going up, and I'll explain why they don't think about going up, and I'll also explain why it does go up. So when you look right here, you look at Pack Yak pouches, you look at prayer potions, you look at diamonds, you look at rubies. These are all four great examples of the exact same thing. What they are is they are a finished product. So people already made these prayer potions, people already cut these diamonds, people already cut these rubies, people already made these Pack Yak pouches. So typically people don't think about stocking these up because they're like, well, why would I stock those up when they're already finished? You know, that's not stuff people are going to be using for Double Experience Weekend. And the reason why they actually do go up a bit leading up to the Double Experience Weekend, I don't really recommend you hold on to these type of things during the weekend because they will crash considerably. But if you are to buy them up and then sell them off during the prep time for Double Experience Weekend, here's why. Uncut rubies go up, right? And uncut diamonds go up. The parts to prayer potions go up. The yak hides go up. So when all of the stuff to make these things go up, that also makes these go up. So that is something people don't actually think about, is they're so overly obsessed in buying into, let's say, for example, these uncut rubies, that they forget about the fact that the cut rubies are actually going to be going up because of the fact that everyone's paying so much on the uncuts. I mean, it's kind of hard to get the cuts if you don't, if someone didn't buy the uncuts. So, that is basically why these are also good to invest into, just because they simply will rise along with their counterparts. Now, these are also something else I should mention that is really something you should only be investing into if you just need something else to invest into, because the ROI on items like these are typically lower. Except for the rubies and the diamonds are actually pretty good this time around, just because the fact, well, okay, I should say I'm speculating them to be pretty good for this time around because they're actually extremely low. 700 each for a cut ruby is probably the lowest price I've seen in a very long time. And you can actually buy them for less than that in the Grand Exchange, which means they're way less than what they should be. So these could end up having a better ROI. Anyway, I've explained it. I've kind of over-explained it, but you get the idea. Next thing here is going to be stuff like this. Now, this is right here stuff I do not recommend you invest into, and I'll explain why. So people look at cannonballs, they look at crystal skill champa type things, and here's what they first think. oh, people are going to need cannonballs for Slayer tasks during Double Experience Weekend. People are going to need cannonballs for whatever during Double Experience Weekend to get combat experience. People are going to need these Crystal Skill Champas in order to do skilling during Double Experience Weekend, and they're going to pay higher in order to get these. Now, while both of these situations could be true, and they kind of are true, here's also something to think about. Crystal Skill Champas is also, it's kind of like the byproduct of someone doing hunter training. So if people are hunting Crystal Skill Champas, which they will probably be doing during Double Experience Weekend because it is the fastest hunter experience in the game pretty much, that means that there's going to be a lot of Crystal Skill Champas coming into the game, and if you are holding on to a massive investment of these, then you're probably going to lose money because these end up going down. Cannonballs end up going down too, mostly because of the fact that people will overinvest into them, and then what happens is they realize that there's not as many buyers. I mean, think about it. How many of you are actually going to be using cannonballs during Double Experience Weekend? Probably not very many of you. And that is kind of the situation with cannonballs, because people just buy into them because they're like, okay, I think it's going to be good, I think it's going to be good, without actually thinking about who's going to be buying them. So when you have a whole bunch of people that are stocking them up, somebody else has to buy those, right? So that is also the reason why I don't recommend over-investing into one individual item. Like, for example, my 8 million limp root roots that I have, it's not actually very smart to invest that much money into one item. I would not actually recommend someone investing investing that much money into 8 million of this, for an example, just because it doesn't really make any sense unless you have a very, very, very large amount of gold to be throwing around, where it now doesn't really matter. Because I've already stocked up, millions or hundreds of thousands of everything else. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to pick up some other stuff at random. One last thing I want to show you guys, and this right here will end up making you guys a lot of money, and there are a massive amount of people that make this mistake, and I want to help you to avoid this mistake. So looking into the Grand Exchange, we see Dragon Dart Tip offer that I have still in here. I accidentally closed the offer out, but I did not take the gold out, so I can still show you it. Yeah, oops. If you look right here, the mid price for Dragon Dart Tip is 643 gold. I was buying 10,000 of them for 506 gold each, because at the time that's what I thought they would buy for. And if you look right here, it says you bought a total of 5,975 of them for a price of about 3 million. So as you can see, I did successfully buy these Dragon Dart Tips at 506 gold apiece. So what are you supposed to learn from this? What you're supposed to learn from this is that when you are investing in these different types of items, you have to really understand that the price that you pay on the item in comparison to the price you sell the item is what determines your ROI. That is what determines your return on your investment. So if you are looking to make as much money as possible, then you need to pay as low as possible, but it needs to also be a smart number. What I mean by smart number is this. If you are able to put in a buy offer on an item, now let's say Dragon Dart Tips right here. I can buy 1,000 of these for every 4 hours. It sucks. I know. I don't understand why the buy limit is so low. Maybe Jagex will watch this video, which they do watch some of my videos, and they'll make it 10,000, which is probably what it needs to be. But if you look at stuff like this, where it has 1,000 buy limit, if I put in an offer for 10,000 of these, which means that offer should take about 2 days to fill. Now, if it's been like 4 days, and I've only bought like a third of them, that's not a smart price because it's taking way too long for me to buy them. But if I have put this offer for 10,000 of them and I did successfully buy them in 2 days, then that means it was a smart offer because it ended up filling up in a reasonable amount of time. Now, the thing is though, were you offering as low as possible? Now, I was offering 506 a piece, and I bought nearly 6,000 of these. I didn't have any problem at all buying these. Now, there's other people that are going to hop on Dragon Dart Tips and end up paying mid-price because that's mid-price. Now, if you look at how much more money I'm going to make for each item, now you can kind of get an idea of why it matters. 643 each versus 506 each, I'm saving almost 140 gold a piece. Now, if you're sitting there like, oh, I don't really care about, trying to buy it for lower or whatever, that's just a waste of time. Well, let me explain to you how it's not a waste of time. Let's look at these limpwort roots. I don't even think I can do this. Okay, I can. Good. Okay, so if you look at this right here, this is 1 million limpwort roots at 1,949 each in the Grand Exchange. That comes to a total of 1.95 billion. Now, if I had 1 million of these limpwort roots that I paid mid-price for, that means that I bought them for this value, 1.95 billion. Now, what happens if I would have been more patient and I would have put a smarter offer in, like I just explained to you, and I was still able to buy them pretty quickly, and I was able to stock them up for, let's say, 1,800 each. That means that if you take 1 million times 1,800, this total value that I would have paid for them is actually going to be 1.8 billion. I can actually let you know that I did not pay 1950 each. I actually paid less than that. So I have already made money on these, and the weekend hasn't even started yet. So if you look at this right here, that's a savings of 150 million gold if I was to pay 1,800 each, for an example. Now, I'm not saying you can go buy Limports for 1,800 each right now. I'm just using this as an example that you should totally actually try to save some of that gold, because it doesn't really seem to matter on the short term, but by the time you're done stocking, you may have saved yourself like 1 billion gold. That seems like a pretty big deal, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's a longer one. Now, I know there are some of my fans out there that really do watch and enjoy the longer videos. If you guys would like to learn more about investing, please join our Discord down below and check out the Investing Mastery section. Or you can also just ask me any questions on there. I'm constantly in the Discord, and you can just send me a DM directly, and I will happily answer your questions that you have. The only thing I recommend that you don't just jump in and ask me or anybody else in there is for exact items. If you want exact items to invest into, then use the Investing Mastery section of Discord. Otherwise, I am more than happy to tell you all about strategy and reasons why you should do this and do not do that and blah, 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 blah. But I'm just not really, I'm not like the vending machine for free items. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this. Leave comments down below if you have some comments about this video. And yeah, anyway, see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.